to go ahead and introduce our special guest. Our guest is the co-owner and co-founder of Bitcoin IRA. His name is Chris Kline. Chris and I have known each other about 5 years, I believe. He goes around and talks about Bitcoin and how you can use cryptocurrency in your self-directed IRA all over the nation. He was telling me that he has been in over 150 podcasts and interviews this year and counting. So he definitely is everywhere. And we are super excited to have him. We had him about 8 months ago, and he was talking about what crypto had done 8 months ago. And now where he's back and where he's going to go ahead and educate us on the developments that have happened in the last 8 months. So let's welcome Chris on. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Claudia, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks so much for having me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that this is definitely an alternative investment that people want to talk about, that they want to learn, and they want to know what's new and what to look out for in the next year so that they can go ahead and make the best decisions. So, welcome.
Yeah, thanks so much. Let's dive right in. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking off stage and we were talking about what we wanted to talk about first. And one of the things that you were talking about was staking and how does it work with your account at Bitcoin. So what is staking and how is that the new development with Bitcoin?
It's something we're really proud of. So staking is an ability, simplest terms, it's the ability for people to make yield with their long-term holdings of cryptocurrency. But let's just dive in really quick. There's proof of work and there's proof of stake. A proof of work is Bitcoin and other assets where basically in order to create more Bitcoin or to secure the network, you have to solve mathematical computations in order to finalize transactions, build new blocks, etc. Staking lives in the proof of stake world, which there are a handful of assets that are available for that, like Ethereum, Solana, Polkadot, Cardano, Sui, etc. And our goal is to have 15 stakeable assets by the end of the year. We're really happy that in July, actually July 4th, we launched the first staking in a crypto IRA as part of our Summer of Freedom. And basically what it allows you to do is if you're a long-term holder of any of those stakeable assets like Ethereum or Solana, you're able to dedicate to the network your stakeable assets so that you can help validate transactions, build security, basically build a better blockchain, and you give a reward for doing that. And sometimes that reward for some of them, like Polkadot, I think is upwards of like 8%. What I love about it is that you are committed to the chain and you're building a better blockchain. And also you're getting the rewards in the asset that you already love. So if you stake your Ethereum, you're getting paid in Ethereum at 2 or 3% a year. If you're in Solana, you're getting paid in Solana. So it's a way to kind of, in essence, double down your bet on the future of this revolution that's happening today. We're really thrilled about the launch. It wasn't an easy thing to build. It's not lending. So lending was something from 2022, 23, where people were taking your assets, putting them in a black box and paying you yield. This actually is a system where your assets are staying inside of the wallet that's already designed for your IRA, insured and secured as far as your overall retirement holdings. And all you're doing is you're saying to the network, hey, I believe in this, so let's build some validators. Let's make sure transactions are going smoothly, and let's get a little reward every time we do one of those things back every month.
And are you able to see when you have your account which one is stake yield and which is just like what is the like higher from the what you're getting from the Bitcoin or whatever you're
Absolutely,
invested in?
absolutely. So you can actually see your balance of, if you had say 10 Ethereum, you could see I have 5 staked and I have 5 that are not staked. And there's actually a nice little chart that shows you, and then you can add more staked, unstaked things and go through that whole process. It's a nice way, kind of like say you had $100,000 in your savings account and you wanted to put $50,000 into a annuity or something that was paying 4 or 5%. Right. So you have that in that area that's locked up, and then you have the rest that's liquid. Same concept. You're just doing your part for the blockchain community.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. You guys just launched it this year?
Yeah, in July 4th, on 4th of July.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. What has changed in the platform? I know that you showed us the platform last time. Is there an advancement in the platform and how clients can go ahead and look at it and it be more client facing?
Yeah, so you already have what we showed a few months ago. I think January was when I last saw you guys. Thanks for having me back. We had so we now have the staking components live. You also have limit orders are going live this week. So you can set your limit orders, your stop loss orders, etc., which is
Which was
really
a huge
important.
thing that people wanted last time, right? Okay. I
Exactly.
do
That was a
remember
big thing they
that.
were asking about. Yep. And so if the people talk, I listen. I've always said that,
I
Claudia.
love that.
And I'm excited about it because it allows you to kind of like set your limits, okay, I want to buy at this level or I want to sell at this level. In this market, as volatile as Bitcoin is, up and down, I mean, we've kind of had a flat month this month, but if you think about when we saw each other in January, what was it about 50,000 dollars of Bitcoin? Or well, this January we were running up on 100 because of we had that run from election day to inauguration day, and then we had a fall off in the first quarter. And so it allows people to kind of control their trading sentiments without having to wake up at like midnight on Sunday or stay awake
Right.
and watch
Because
things.
it's all 24 hours, right? It's not like the stock
Exactly.
market.
Never sleeps. It never sleeps. And then the newest thing that's coming out in the fourth quarter are curated crypto bundles. And I'm going to make a better name for them by the end of the quarter, just so you know. But the concept is we have a lot of people that walk in and say, hey, I just deposited $100,000 and I want to put some of them in blue chips. I want to put some in AI. I want to put some in meme coins. I want to kind of break out my percentages. And we have 80 plus coins now. I think we have 85 coins and growing. It's really hard to do your research on every single coin. So
Right.
we created these bundles, just like blue chips are like Bitcoin, XRP, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Those are kind of your blue chips. Where if you just take and you say, "Oh, I want 20,000 in the blue chips spread across this," and then if AI, oh, okay, AI is a big kind of complementary marriage between Bitcoin or between crypto and new technology. I'd like to invest another 5,000 in these 5 AI coins. And you know what? I've seen some meme coins go crazy, so I'd like to put at least a couple $1,000 into these meme coins. And it makes it so that you don't have to go and do 15 different trades. You can just say, I want this bundle, this bundle, this bundle. And that's what we're building right now that's going to go live before Christmas.
Oh, wow. That's really
Yep.
cool. And they talked
And
to one of
nobody
your
knows about that, by
advisors.
the way. That's a super secret. That's your guys' little alpha that I threw for you.
That's cool. So when they talk to your advisor, they'll be able to go over what the bundles are and what they're investing in, and then they could go
Mhm.
ahead and have them just do it for them.
Yeah, and they can do it themselves. That's the beauty of self-directed, right? So they'll be able to log in and instead of buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and say Chainlink or whatever, they can just buy the bundle and say, you know what, I want $20,000 in this bundle, and then they decide their percentages. I want 50% in Bitcoin, 10 here, 10 here, 10 here, 10 here. And then that's their breakout so that they can easily get in without having to do a series of trades. And also it helps organize. We found, as you guys know, when people walk into the self-directed space, they're new usually. So it's a chance for them to kind of get acclimated with the space a little bit smoother than just, oh my goodness, there's 85 coins. What am I supposed to do here? This gives them kind of bundles to choose from.
Very cool. Okay. Well, I'm excited that I was one of the first to know.
Yeah,
I like that.
absolutely.
All right. So let's talk about your prediction. It looks like you had a prediction and you still think that that you guys are going to hit it. What is the prediction and why do you think you're still going to be able to hit that prediction?
So in April of this year, I was on late March, April, I was on Bloomberg and they asked me what I think Bitcoin would hit by the end of the year. And without even hesitating, I said 180,000. Now, remember, at that moment in time in April, Bitcoin was $72,500. So they kind of chuckled at me there in the studio at Bloomberg. They're like, seriously, kid, that's like a huge growth perspective it's April and you want this by the end of the year.
Right.
And I still stand strong with it. We're at what about we hit almost 115 last night. We've hit 125. We've tested new highs. Here's why I think that I'm not crazy. And I'm not I'm not Jim Cramer, I'm not some pundit on TV. But I know this game, and you've got we're at that sweet spot of 450 to 550 days post halving. So the halving event took place actually last April, not this April, but the April before.
And for those of us that don't know what that is,
Yeah.
what was that event?
Halving is where the reward for the block, the newest block. So if you build the next block on the blockchain for Bitcoin, there's a reward. When we first started Bitcoin IRA 50 or 10 years ago, it was 50, then it was 25, then it's 12 and a half, and it gets cut in half. It's actually the exact opposite of what we do with the US dollar. We actually punish our producers, unlike where we basically reward producers in with the US dollar by re-electing them. So whether it was the trillions of dollars pumped in the economy for COVID or otherwise, you put money in the hands of Americans or add more monetary supply for years, it was a benefit. And people were like, oh, that's great. I feel better than I did before. Bitcoin is the converse of that. It's saying, you know what? We want only 21 million Bitcoin to be created. So every time we get halfway to 21 million and then halfway and then halfway and halfway, we're going to cut the reward in half. And we're down to, I think, 3.125. And by the next cycle, will be cut down to one and a half, 1.75 roughly, and then another halving. And it's every 4 years is basically how it works. And so what happens though, and this is, if you look at the charts, is the halving event takes place, and then about 400 to 500 days after the halving, Bitcoin goes like this. It's exponential. And we saw this in 2017. We saw this in 2021. And we're going to see it in this next 30 days in 2025. This is the moment in time where it's going to happen. You add to that. So that's one piece, right? Why I think 180K. Now you add to that is this is the first time in a halving event where institutions are at play. So every other time I've been talking to folks, it's been retail people buying and selling Bitcoin, and there's this kind of democratization of money happening, kind of like a revolution. And since January and now this year, over almost $100 billion, over $100 billion have been plugged into Bitcoin ETFs. So that means institutional money has come in and gobbled up supply. So there's only so much supply, limited supply, just like real estate or any other asset that you guys work with at Horizon. People are gobbling up supply, and there's more demand, bigger demand that's happening. And so that's where I think it would be easy to see us. We were at 125 about a month ago. I would see us if we break into 135, 145, and then FOMO kicks in. And I've been through 4 cycles, and the FOMO is
Right.
where all of a sudden you start just the exponential growth happens. So last year when I was in Nashville, I said that we would hit 100K by Christmas Day, and Bitcoin was at 65,000 at that time. And again, I got laughed at. And sure enough, I was actually off by a week. It hit 100K a week before Christmas. I think that before we celebrate the turn of the year at December 31st, we're gonna at some point hit $180,000 this year. And I'm actually
Which would be
conservative. You've
crazy.
got Scaramucci, Charlie Lee, others calling for 250, 280. We'll see what happens, but the
That's
fourth
their
quarter
prediction.
is,
They think that
yeah,
it'll get to that before the end of the
even
year.
higher than what I'm thinking. Yep.
Okay. So you're saying in the next 30 days, that's when people should be investing in Bitcoin.
Well, you got to position yourself, right? And you know as
Yeah.
well as I do in the retirement space, if you want to move an account from Fidelity today, you got to
Hmm.
open the account, you
Yeah.
got to send transfer forms. They've got to accept the transfer forms. They got to send the money. Sometimes they send a check, sometimes they send a wire, whatever it might be. So starting now and position yourself doesn't mean you have to buy Bitcoin the minute the money shows up. But you do need to get yourself positioned, because I think the fourth quarter of this year is going to really wake up a lot of people about the power of scarcity.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about how it works. How do you open an account? I'll go over how it works for the transfer. So, in order to open an account with Horizon Trust, so you need a custodian to have an account with Bitcoin IRA. So,
Mhm.
you would come to a custodian like us, Horizon Trust. We would open an account. We would go ahead and set up a traditional IRA, a Roth IRA, a 401k, SEP IRA, HSA, any account that you have somewhere else. We will go ahead and set up here as an alternative investment account. What happens there is we're going to open an account here, and we're going to contact the resigning custodian. So let's say you have your money at Fidelity. We would go ahead and contact Fidelity along with you on the phone, or if it's just a regular transfer IRA to IRA, we'll just go ahead and send in transfer paperwork. We're going to go ahead and request them to transfer the funds over to Horizon Trust. Because it is a qualified transfer from a qualified account to a qualified custodian, qualified account here at Horizon Trust, there is no taxable event. So everything that you do here is going to be tax advantage. So if it's a Roth IRA, which means that it is tax free, everything that you do within that account is going to be tax free for the remainder of the account. If it is tax deferred, which is an IRA, a 401k, any of the other accounts, HSA, all of those are tax deferred. So you're going to go ahead and transfer those funds over to Horizon Trust, and then you can go ahead and use them for investment purposes. So one of the alternative investments that we're talking about today would be Bitcoin IRA. So once the funds are here at Horizon Trust, then we would go ahead and have you contact Bitcoin IRA and then go over the process on your side, Chris.
Yep, exactly. And don't forget about TSPs, Claudia. Those are pretty
TSPs,
popular. Yep. Thrift savings
403Bs,
plans. Yep.
any account that you are holding that you for the 401ks or anybody that was an employer sponsored company, you can't be working for that company anymore, but anything that is not employer sponsored, we can go ahead and transfer right away. So yes, that's a great
100%.
point. So walk us a little bit about how it's going to work on your side and with Bitcoin IRA to open an account, start investing, fund the account, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, so obviously, Claudia and team is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for us. When we appreciate that, they're going to open up the account at Horizon. They're going to fund it. We're going to basically create a sub account inside that account that is for Bitcoin IRA purposes, and we'll have you sign a quick document that says, "Hey, I funded 100,000. I want to put $25,000 in cryptocurrency." So we're going to move that to your sub account as long as you've already, and you can set up on our side or their side. So Horizon has a great setup account onboarding process. We also have one too, where we capture all the details we need to open your account. So we'll get all those details. We'll open the account together collectively. We'll help you transfer the funds. So you kind of have like two people helping you, right? Because you've got the Bitcoin IRA team plus the Horizon team, making sure that Fidelity moves those funds, or Hewitt or Vanguard or whoever it might be moving those funds over. Once they arrive, you have already set up your account on Bitcoin IRA, so you can log into our website, or you can download the app on your Android or your iOS, your Apple phone. And then you'll log in, you'll say, okay, there's my money there. And you'll be able to see that you can buy, sell, swap, stake any of the coins, the 80 plus coins that are available, and you'll make those decisions as far as your investment purposes. And a lot of folks, there's, everybody's a different walk of life. Some people are like, I just want to get as much Bitcoin as I can right now. Others do what's called dollar cost averaging. So they'll put a little bit in for every week for the next 6 weeks or 7 weeks because this product is pretty volatile. And then you'll see all those assets every time you log in. You'll see how they're performing. And then you also can log into your Horizon Trust account and you can see your overall, if I've got some real estate, some private equity, and now also have some Bitcoin. So you're going to see your overall portfolio sitting there. And then if you're ever say it goes to 250 or $300,000, you're like, okay, I'm done. I did well. I tripled my money with Bitcoin. Then you can cash out really quickly and move those funds back to Horizon for additional investments into real estate or other funds. So we have one of the things I love, Claudia, is over the years, we've been working together, since 2020, 2019, we built a pretty seamless solution for the clients associated with our community.
We have. One of the alternative investments that people didn't know how to utilize is Bitcoin. How do I get into cryptocurrency? How do I do that? You could go the route of owning a wallet within a checkbook LLC. But what we figured out is that having this process with a company that knows what IRAs are, that knows how to transfer the funds, that knows what a DOI is, it's just easier to go ahead and manage the transaction with our clients. But you have both ways that you can do it. So if you're a wallet nerd and you know how to do all that, which I do not, I have to get Chris to tell me how to open an account, then you can definitely go and do it yourself. And that's why it's a self-directed account where you can go ahead and manage your own checkbook LLC, set up the account with a checkbook LLC with, I don't know, I don't even know what the platforms are. But if you want us to hold your hand and actually do most of the process with you, alongside you, and work with a company that actually knows what they're doing on their side with IRA investments, then we work with a company like Bitcoin IRA, and we have a great system, and we have we really do well with them. So yeah, that's how it works.
I would
From
add
a
there, Claudia, is you don't have to just be a wallet expert. You have to be a beneficiary expert, a security expert. a generational wealth expert when you do it the LLC route. I started the first time I ever put Bitcoin in my retirement was through an LLC. And the reason why I moved it into our direct custodial option, like we've created with you guys, is if something happens to me, I've done over 115 podcasts this year.
Yeah.
I've been to 12 major cities. I've been on almost 27 flights. The odds are, something bad can always happen to me as a human being. And I don't want my wife to have to find a ledger device somewhere in my desk drawer and figure out what to do to access that Bitcoin. I also want to make sure that it's very easy for her just to say, hey, Chris died. Here's the death certificate. And please set up a beneficiary IRA for me. And you could probably talk a little bit about how smooth that process is when you work with direct custody. That's to me, you're going to work so hard. You're going to believe in Bitcoin. You're going to put your chips on the table. The last thing you want to have happen after you're dead is for it to get lost in the shuffle, boxed in somewhere. There's the story about that guy that bought an entire trash dump in New York or New Jersey because his wife saw a ledger device and thought it was some old USB and threw it away in the trash. So
Oh
he and it
no.
had like $25 million worth of Bitcoin on it. And so he bought the entire trash dump to try to find the ledger device. And he
Did
just
he find
recently,
it?
no, he just recently gave up. Like they
Oh,
checked everywhere. And so those are the things like, yes, I understand there's a lot of people, not my keys, not my custody, not my control. But remember, this is just like any other financial asset. If you have a real estate asset sitting in your IRA, you also want to make sure that the day that you die, is also, sorry, somebody's calling me right now. I don't know if they could just exit that. Bogdan, can you just okay, move it aside? Okay, sorry about that. I don't know if it's coming through on
no,
your
you're
side. It's
fine.
coming through my ear. It happens.
I was like, I
I'm a
don't see
busy
it.
guy.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
okay.
That's great. You're not hearing it. But that's the reality is like even if it's a real estate asset or something, you don't want to have your clients deal with your family deal with probate and those things. You set up legacy situations to protect yourself and protect your assets for the next generation.
That's a great point because when you have a custodial account and you don't have access to that checkbook LLC or you don't really know how it was managed, what assets are in there, they call us all the time and they tell us, well, what's in that checkbook LLC? We're like, we don't know. We send $100,000 over. We never got a fair market value. We don't know what they invested in. There's nothing that we can do. So
Yep.
yeah, that's actually a really good point that why you would want to have a company that can go ahead and do it the right
Yep.
way and then transfer it the right way. So and Julie says divorce happens as well. So
Oh, that too. Yeah, absolutely. Good call, Julie. Good call.
yeah.
56% of the time nowadays, I think. Is that
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
tragic, but that's the reality.
All right. So let's go into education and strategy. For
Okay.
someone new to crypto, what's the most important factor to understand before using an IRA to invest? So what do you recommend? What should they be looking at? Most of our clients are already invested into real estate or promissory notes. They're doing the alternative investing that we talk about the most. What should they consider when it comes to crypto?
I think the best thing you can do is your own research, obviously, and also find the right places. One of the things I mentioned, I've done like 107 podcasts this year. You're not going to find it on CNBC, you're not going to find it on Bloomberg, but I would download the X app, or we call it Twitter, and follow. You can follow me at Senator Klein, and you can also then follow all the people I follow, like Anthony Pompliano, Natalie Brunell. There's a lot of great authoritative information folks out there that are teaching people about the essence of cryptocurrency. So get knowledgeable first, get a little education before you just dive right in. We've also helped augment that where we have what I call real crypto, real people. So if you go to the website for Bitcoin IRA and be sure to mention that you're part of the Horizon community, which we'll know because you already have a Horizon account. But they'll walk you through. We do a web conference just like this, where one of my account executives is sitting on the other side talking to Claudia, understanding because retirement's not a one size fits all strategy. So, like, what kind of account are you having? What's your goal? What's your strategy? What are your things that you're looking for? And then talking about what makes our platform special, and then dive into okay, what's the essence of Bitcoin? What's the essence of Ethereum, XRP? What are these? What purpose do these serve? We just started recording here at I call this the crypto corner that I'm in today. We've started recording. I think we put in the can about 4 or 5 crypto one-on-one lessons. So like the basics of cryptocurrency, how does Bitcoin proof of work work? How does proof of stake work? What makes XRP or any of these coins you're looking at special? or important to the future ecosystem. I was just on a podcast last week where we talked about the marriage between AI and Bitcoin. And so, I mean, you got to take some time to do some knowledge. I think that would be the first step. And then make sure you're aligning yourself with the right folks. I mean, part of the reason why you're already with Horizon Trust is you trust them. They have your retirement account in place. You're doing real estate with them. You're doing private equity with them, and now you want to dabble into diversification with cryptocurrency. So that's the first check mark. You got a group that you can trust that's worked with us, and we've kind of vetted each other over the years, over 5-6 years now. So that's step one, and then step two is just ask the questions that you're curious about. You can't get every question answered on a webinar like this, but that's why groups like yourself, Claudia, and I put people on the phone to talk to folks about what exactly it is that you're looking for. And even if the question's really tough, I'm sure we'll probably find an answer for you.
Yeah. No, you guys are great. You guys have a great customer service system that can go ahead and answer all questions. Another question that I have is you have so many coins and so many different, sorry, now it's my phone.
Oh, we both
um,
got phone calls. I bet it's the
I
same
know.
person.
We're important people, Chris. We're important people. You have so many different options when you make this kind of investment. For somebody that's just starting and all they know is crypto and Ethereum, I mean not crypto, Bitcoin and Ethereum, how do they go about researching the other coins and how they can go ahead and make investments if they don't have as much money and they want to get started?
So if you're just thinking, and that's the beauty also, is that once you invest your money over, you can buy. I think this is one of the big misnomers is, oh, I have to buy a whole Bitcoin, or I have to buy a whole Ethereum, or I have to buy a whole thing. Actually, you can buy fractionalization of every asset that's out there. Most of them go to 10, 15 decimal points. So you can buy $100 worth of any coin that's out there just to test it out, see how you feel about it. CoinMarketCap.com is a great place. I spend a lot of time there outside of Twitter and X. It'll show you can actually go pick a coin. And then when you're in the coin, you can look at the historical data, the recent performance. You can also look at there's a drill down onto who's involved and like the kind of the pedigree of the coin, and also look at the utility of the coin. What's it meant to do? So my daughter, you met her, Isabella. One of the things that I always push is one word associations with her since she was 4. She's actually about to turn 12 in a couple months. And so for her, like Bitcoin is money, Litecoin is shopping, XRP is banks, and Ethereum is contracts. And those are quick one word associations to understand, okay, that's the purpose that this coin serves in the world. And then you can dive deeper. And you can also, one of the things I always warn people is don't go too far down the rabbit hole either, right? Like just
Right.
like anything that you do research in, you can kind of lose your mind. Only do what you're comfortable with. Only do, if like, just like if you, let's say that you have a real estate IRA with Horizon and you got some nice passive rent payments that got dropped in over the last, say, 6 months. So you've stacked up like 10 or $15,000. Start there. Hey, that's my
Right.
passive income I've already made from my real estate. I'm not messing with my main principal, which is my real estate investments. But if I leave this in US dollars, already this year, the US dollar's lost 10% of its purchasing power. The Fed is dropping rates when unemployment's down and inflation is up. So they box themselves in. It's going to get worse for the US dollar and all fiat currency over the next 6 months. Might as well hedge myself. I could go grab some bars of gold, some coins, some silver coins, or I might dabble into some of these cryptocurrencies that are finite. And Bitcoin's a great starting point there. So if you're just jumping in, make sure you're comfortable with Bitcoin first, and then over time do some homework. Follow me at Senator Kline or Bitcoin IRA. We put so much content out there. They keep me so busy that I'm
I
constantly putting
see
data
that.
out. Yeah, and my goal is always to. I don't pick a product. I have no product that I love in particular. I love all coins. I actually own all 85 coins that we have on the platform. I own all of
Oh,
them.
wow.
Full disclosure. And I don't have one that I love the most. I'm not a maxi Bitcoinalist. I think that Ethereum serves a great purpose for the future of our economy, and it's like Internet 3.0. I think XRP has power. I love Link. There's so many reasons, and if you follow myself and our channel, you'll see a lot of content on the daily coming through. Also, our emails. If you're not a kind of a social media person, you can just sign up for our newsletter, and you get a weekly rehash on Sunday afternoons to get educated on what's happening out there.
Can you have your team drop in your YouTube and all of that information so that people can follow you while we're on here?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll end with this and then, well, we won't end, but I want to open it up for questions because I do see a lot of questions coming
I
in and I
saw a
want to
lot
make sure.
popping up, so I hope
Yeah.
they're I
I
hope
want
I
to
hope
make
they're
sure we
good
have enough
questions.
time. I want to go over your fees a little bit. One of the things that we have at Horizon Trust is we're very transparent with our fees,
Mhm.
and we want to make sure that we're transparent with you guys. And I want to go into why your fees are a little higher and what that means for our clients and their security with Bitcoin IRA and their wallets or whatever the platform. So let's
Yeah.
go into that a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and open it up for questions.
Yeah, and I mean, over the years now, people have figured out that I'm not the only game in town, right? Bitcoin IRA created this industry. At the end of the day, back in 2015,
You guys were the
Bitcoin,
first, right?
we were the first. We created
First.
this. We were the first to create it. We're very proud of that, and we've also hyper focused on being the most trusted, the most secure, and offering the best service. And those things, security, trust, and service, are not free. Right at the end of the day, and you guys know this at Horizon, you're not going to be able to take care of clients, keep them safe, and make sure that they trust your program without constantly innovating it, constantly building new things. So there are competitors out there. I know them. I don't. I try not to name them because that's not fair. That are cheaper, and they actually all came into the space basically for market share. They said, you know what, if we could just be the cheapest on the on of the market space, we could steal a whole bunch of market share. They also had a bunch of money behind them from investment capital, private equity, those types of groups. And so they were able to throw a whole bunch of money at marketing and try to grow their business after that. Here's the reality of cryptocurrency. I've been in it for a decade now. It has good years, it has bad years. And in good years, everybody looks like a genius, right? And in bad years is where you start seeing bad things happen. 2022, 2023, we had competitors that were basically taking people's money and leveraging it, their crypto. They were taking their Bitcoin and their Ethereum and they were putting it out in lending programs. And then when that whole thing fell apart from FTX and Alameda, then people were barely left with a chance of hoping that they got their money back. You also have security risks that are constantly happening. Since the day we started this, we knew there was a giant target on our back as a crypto company from hackers and malicious actors out there. So we dedicate 35% of our bandwidth every single year in product security and technology to building better security. Like literally, we're constantly focused on making things safer. So adding multi-factor authentication, adding AI identity verification, building this pentagon of custody around our platform so that your nest egg, that egg right there, is sitting behind layers and layers and layers of protection. The only way that you can do that, as well as offer impeccable service to our clients, is you have to have fees that are reasonable. So the way that our fees break down is we have it's very simple steps. There's a setup fee, which is I think now at its lowest is like less than 1% to set up the account, which gets you your wallet, gets you your custody solution, keeps everything dialed in with Horizon Trust, sets up your account agent as well as your service agent. Those are all dialed in so that you can call at any time. There's a phone number Monday through Friday, and in fact, even on Saturdays, you can call and you can get a hold of somebody within a matter of 90 seconds. That's a big standard that we have as a KPI.
Yeah.
So that's your setup. And then you have your transaction fees, which is standard at 2% of the market space as far as buying and selling. And then you have to keep the crypto safe with an insurance policy. Insurance is not free. We all pay for car insurance, health insurance, life insurance, home
Only going up.
insurance, everything else. I think there's a comedian that says, "Shouldn't I get that money back if something doesn't happen?" Right? Like that's a joke. But we all pay for insurance, and we pay for the insurance up to $250 million per wallet per incident. And I think the big thing to think about is we're vertically integrated. So we're a trust company just like Horizon Trust. We built our own trust company back in 2020 called Digital Trust. And that is not an easy feat. And Claudia knows this. You have to get approved by regulators. You have to go through the ringer. They go through everything. They look under every stone. They take your fingerprints. They check every policy, every procedure, every protocol. They check your insurances, and then you also have to put aside a amount of money that is your reserves in case something goes wrong. This is not something some typical platform can do. In fact, some of my competitors have been trying to get a trust license for years and keep getting denied because they're not up to snuff as far as the parameters from regulators. And some regulators have said we don't want any more crypto groups because you guys like Horizon and Digital and Bitcoin IRA, you guys have set the bar and nobody else wants to live up to that standard. And there's a security factor here that you really have to take to heart and you have to raise the bar for it. So all of those things, and I know this is a little bit of a tangent, Claudia, but I get it a lot where it's like, well, there's a cheaper version out there. Yes, there's a cheaper version of everything. I can go buy
Everything, yeah.
Coca-Cola, or I can go buy the offshoot. I can go to Target, or I can go to Walmart, or I can go to Costco, right? And there's value for each of those things. I shop at all those stores for different purposes, right? But when it comes to my retirement, we're talking my nest egg. The last thing I want to do is basically be penny wise and pound foolish. I'm gonna argue, and I'm gonna save myself 1%, say, versus the others. But what I'm putting at risk is 99% of my retirement. And history has shown that an easy Google search will show you that sometimes the cheapest option ends up being the most expensive option out there because you put yourself at risk. And that's really kind of at the end of the day why we stand behind what we've created and what we think our fees are. I mean, we think they're reasonable and they're justified, and we take care of clients at the end of the day. If I was just some online platform that didn't take phone calls and didn't focus on security and didn't do the things that we do, yeah, that would make sense. Like, what? Why are you charging so much? But we're
Right.
reinvesting most of that capital into making a better product, like staking, like limit orders, like crypto bundles, like we're going to have covered calls. We're going to have the ability for you to take your Bitcoin outside your IRA and use it as collateral for future loans. Imagine you have $1 billion or $1 million of Bitcoin and you want to buy real estate. We can help facilitate that next year. So we're constantly, since 2015, for 10 years, we've been evolving every single year, and we're about to blow the roof off of evolution next year. So that's what you're buying into, is being a part of a community that sees the future.
You know, I love having you every 8 months to a year because you always come up with something new and something that has elevated the business. And that's what we like. We like to have partners that can go ahead and have that kind of mentality. You know, what's the next level? What's the next level? So yeah, I do agree with that. Sometimes people just want a penny pinch, and it doesn't make sense when you have a company that can stand by what they're doing. And that was a great explanation. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Claudia.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and go into
So what do they
questions.
got? What do they got cooked up in the questions for
Yeah.
me? This is my favorite
So
part of the show. This is my favorite part.
Julie is asking, and I don't know what the question is, so maybe you do. Can you give your thoughts on XLM and XRP?
Oh, so you're talking Stellar and well, XRP is I don't want to mess it up because the army will come after me, but rip XRP. So they are competitors, right? That's a great point, Julia. Is this the same one that says divorce happens?
It is. Yeah,
Okay,
Julie.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So this is, they are competitors in the way that they are trying to define payments across, like they're basically a seamless process for payment settlements, more or less. So XRP, as we all know, went through an SEC lawsuit for years, and then they're back now with the compliments of a new administration and a better SEC, CFTC. XLM kind of flew under the radar during that process because they weren't as big as XRP. I own both. Full disclosure, I own both because I don't know if we know which one will be the leader. You also have a third party coming in with Chainlink coming in as far as this settlement processing piece. And that's where we're actually putting together the bundles where you can just get, hey, you know what? I want to own all the coins that have to do with settlement of payments, either between individuals, between nation states, or large corporations. And all three of them are poised to be a piece of that. I don't think there's going to be one big winner. If you're on X or you're on Twitter, people are like, "Oh, Link's big announcement's it's over for XRP, or XLM's dead to XRP." That's contention between competitive chains, but the truth is nobody knows. I'm living this space. Nobody knows what the future holds. So
Right.
I position myself with all of them. One thing that XLM was doing early that I really loved was fractionalization and tokenization, where if you wanted to buy even a real estate property, like a building, a multifamily building, you would have to have the capital to go in full tilt and buy the whole thing. And you'd have investors outside that would kind of build out if you needed 10 million bucks, it wouldn't be your whole 10 million unless you were really well off, but you'd have 1 million of your money and like 9 other investors that had put in 1 million, and now it's your guys' property. XLM early on had this mission to be the element of streamlining fractionalization, which I've been on a lot of podcasts over the last 6 months of real world asset tokenization, and just overall AI tokenization. So XLM, I think, really feeds into that beast. XRP has already got the ear of the U.S. government and some of the SWIFT and the other things. And then Link is now becoming popular as the connector of all these chains. Because the truth of the matter is, one bank might choose XRP, another one might choose XLM, another country might choose this, and so you need a connector between the three. So if you want to really own the whole ecosystem, I would say, as like I do, I have a little bit of all three of those. They also have a lot of upside potential in alt season because what happens, as we all know, every time Bitcoin runs, is alt season comes, and they're all kind of poised for some significant growth ahead. Now, would I take and put 100% of my retirement in any of the three? Absolutely not. I'm a big fan of diversification. That's why we have 80 different coins. So I hope that answered your. Is it Julie or Julia?
Julie.
Julie, I hope that answered your question.
By the way, she said divorce when she threw the crypto $25 million away. So she didn't mean she was going to get divorced. She said the guy should
I got
divorce
you.
the
I got
wife.
you. I got you.
That's funny. Oh, well, on that topic, do you see any more coins being delisted in the future?
Delisted.
Delisted.
Hope is not a strategy. I'll start with that. So hope is not a strategy, but what we have, so I endured the last administration of 4 years of an SEC with Gensler, where we were constantly having to evaluate every coin offered because the SEC had this kind of giant black marker that said all crypto coins are bad except for Bitcoin. In fact, at one point, Gensler said that even Ethereum's a security. That game has changed, right? Since January 20th, we have a new administration in play, and we have a new SEC chair, we have a new CFTC chair. There's a new MO. You've got the Genius Act, you've got the Clarity Act, but let's not forget. Right now, it feels really good. Will things get delisted for the next 4 to 8 years? I don't think so. But all it takes is one election where all of a sudden we reelect people that may be more in line with banks. Banks, part of the reason what was driving delisting of coins was they were competitive to bank securities, and the banks are saying, hey, this isn't fair. We had to go through XYZ to be able to offer something like this. How is it fair that they could offer this? They say if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck and smells like a duck, then it's probably a duck, and the same thing with the security. I think we're getting a lot more clarity around all of that, including with stable coins and stable coins that are happening right now. That the traditional finance world and the crypto finance world were kind of at odds with each other for 4 years. I was just in Vegas, your hometown there, Claudia, for the Bitcoin conference in May, and I've said this a few times. It feels like the DeFi world and the CeFi world have like Tinder swiped right, and now we're dating and we're kind of getting along a little bit. We're trying to find these harmonious. I've been in a lot of boardrooms with bankers talking stable coins, talking real world real world tokens. And will there be a day? Yeah, if a coin does something ridiculous where it's like Yeezy put up a pump and dump coin, it should be delisted from everywhere. And we never listed it, but it should be delisted from Coinbase, Kraken, every coin, every exchange that's out there. There's a day and time where, just like if somebody was selling pink sheet crap stocks, somebody came through as regulars and said, this has got to stop. So yes, more delisting will happen. Maybe not on our platform because we're being very careful about what we add to the process. But things happen. There's forks also. There's airdrops or shifts that happen where a coin becomes basically a moot point, and there's a new coin in its place. So we have to delist the old coin, and we have to list the new coin. That's the era of cryptocurrency. That's the world we live in. It's a little still Wild
Yeah,
West in some spaces.
absolutely. It's kind of like Airbnb and hotels. They're
Oh
always
my goodness.
fighting.
Or Ubers and taxis.
Yeah, Ubers and taxis.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like somebody's always going to have a better idea, and the other idea, the older idea, is going to get upset about it.
Disruption is not a smooth process. I can tell you that much.
Absolutely. Does Bitcoin IRA have custody of the coins that we purchase?
So Bitcoin IRA is the wallet. So we are the administrative custodian that works alongside our wallet custodians. And we've strictly, for 10 years, we've had an exclusive with BitGo. We still have it. So we're the only ones in the IRA space that can offer BitGo wallets that come with arguably the best. They are like the Brinks of the industry. It all comes down to key management. And so the way that keys are worked in this space is multiple keys. So there's not one key where I hold the key somewhere here in my office and it's like I have control of your retirement. It's actually a multi-key, multi-factor process. So the keys have to be used kind of like if we're going to launch a nuclear weapon, you have to put two keys in and turn them at the same time. The
Yeah.
same as like if you go into a bank and you want to open your safety deposit box, you have your key, but the bank also has its key. And if you don't have those, so those that's how it all works. So it is a shared, a diversified and distributed custodial model that has gotten us to a point where we can get Lloyd's of London and other major insurance underwriters to give us up to $250 million of insurance per wallet. We also never let a wallet go over $50 million as a policy. And we have a couple of those clients now that are up to 50, $60 million because they started early on and they've
Can
just
you set up
held.
two
And yeah,
accounts, or how do you handle that? Or you
no,
just
the accounts
limit
stay the
them?
same. We just diversify where the holdings are. So when you log in, you may
Okay.
have $50 million, but your wallets are spread across. Your keys are spread across. They're geographically dispersed. I could go into more details about those things, but my insurance company would call me and be very mad at me right now. Be just like because that's the
Yeah.
policy is they insure you, but there's certain things you just have to say. It is a spread custodial model. It's a diversified custodial model, and the ultimate goal is to protect not only the client from us or you at Horizon, but also from themselves too. You can't just log in, say somebody SIM swaps you or hacks your email and logs into your Bitcoin account. They can't just take your crypto out. That's actually impossible to do. They have to go through a series of security parameters and identify themselves on a video call like this with AI, as well as with a real human being like myself, before we move any crypto around. This is what's different from an exchange model where your crypto, if somebody hacks your phone and gets into your Coinbase account, they could drain your account in a matter of seconds, and there's nothing you can do to remedy it.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. Jesse is asking, any leverage trading on the platform?
Oh man, I wish, Jesse, but one of the main rules of IRAs is you cannot leverage your retirement account. That's actually not an option. Someday maybe the rules will change, but for now, we try to keep it as within the IRS parameters as we can because we want to keep you away from prohibited transactions. Just like Claudia, if you have an IRA LLC and you are buying real estate and say you take out a credit card to pay for the water heater in one of your rental properties. Boom,
Can't do that.
prohibitive transaction. You're in
Yeah.
big trouble. You might actually lose the entire umbrella of your retirement savings. So yeah, I wish leverage, those are probably they're going to evolve drastically in the non-IRA space over the next year and a half because there's a lot of players walking into that space. But when it comes to retirements, we try to keep it as simple as possible. We're already getting great advantages, right? We're putting Bitcoin and cryptocurrency inside of retirements. We're getting tax deferment. We're getting tax savings. We're getting no capital gains taxes. Unless you have a good friend in the government that can change that, Jesse, call me, buddy.
On that same note, Jesse's asking, would it be worth opening a new Roth SDRA on Coinbase with only $7,500? So
Well, I don't know if Coinbase offers SDRAs. I haven't
no, it
seen that
doesn't.
announcement. Yeah.
I think
Uh,
he's probably asking about Bitcoin IRA, what we're
Yeah,
talking about.
no,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, every dollar you can put in a Roth setting is powerful. And I do it. So my daughter's 11. She works for me as on the company. She actually does work. She's been on a podcast with you, Claudia.
Yes.
She's going to New York with me. She's going to be on the stock exchange with me in a couple of weeks.
How
Which is so exciting. I
exciting.
got her orange sport coat because everybody there wears blue. So she's going to stand out as not only a 12-year-old, but also like a girl with an orange sport coat on. She every year I pay her from the company. I think it's 15.5. She puts her 7,500 into her Roth IRA, and then the rest. And just a kind of you don't have to take this as financial advice, but the rest I pay. She pays her private school education because that's up to 16,000 or just under. She can
You
get
need to
paid without
negotiate her
taxes.
salary.
Well, you can't go higher than that because then she gets taxed. I try to keep her below the tax threshold.
You're right. You're right.
But
Okay. I see what you're
but
doing. I see what you're doing.
she's building that up. But we have clients that are starting their first IRA in their 20s or 30s. If you can qualify for a Roth is also important. There's the Magi score limitation of it's about what, 150, $160,000. If you make more than that, you don't qualify for a Roth. But I do know, and I learned this from Claudia and the experts over Horizon, that there are things called backdoor Roths and mega backdoor Roths where you can move money in a non-Roth setting and then convert it later. There's a tax bill associated, right? You could take a 401k for 100,000 and roll it into a Roth IRA, but you're going to have a tax implication because you're in essence moving the classification of the funds. Roths to me are one of the most powerful things because if if it's 2025 and if say Sailor's right and say a bunch of these folks are right and Bitcoin's at 100,000 plus and let's say we hit $1 million Bitcoin, or let's say you're an XRP guy and it's at $3 and it goes to $30, the rate of increase that you could make, millionaires, maybe billionaires, are going to be made out of the crypto and AI space over the next 10 years. Having it in a Roth IRA means that you can turn $5,000 into $5 million and take it out when you turn that age of retirement, and you're going to be tax free. And I'll repeat that, free, which
Yeah.
there's nowhere else in the entire world, as if you've ever paid taxes, which we all have, that there's the word free associated, except for a Roth IRA. So it's never too late. It's never too early, is my opinion.
I agree. And I know that a lot, we had some questions about Roth IRAs. We're going to go ahead and do a webinar soon on that
Awesome.
because it looks like people want to learn about it. There is a way to kind of strategize around it. It depends on your personal finances. It's something
Yep.
you have to work out with your own CPA and see what
Yep.
works out for you so that you can have the best strategy available. But it's definitely a good strategy for
Yeah.
anybody that's
You know
looking.
where we saw most of the Roth conversions? I think Claudia, you and I were working pretty closely together back then, was COVID, because a lot of
COVID,
people,
yeah.
their job, they weren't making money. So it was a great
Mhm.
year to do it, right? It was like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not making money. I've been furloughed or I've lost my job, so I have zero income. This is the year to convert my Roth because it's income, right? And
Yeah.
and then and then you get that nice. And also Bitcoin was only what, 7,000, $8,000 at the time. So what a great time to convert. But yes, Claudia says it perfectly. Every situation is unique. If you don't talk to your tax advisor or your tax attorney or tax strategist before you do a conversion, you're only doing yourself a detriment. You should talk to an expert before you do it. All we do here at Bitcoin IRA and at Horizon is we are the rails by which to achieve the goal. We're not the guys telling you to do it. You have to make that
Yeah.
decision with your tax advisor, but we're the rails to help you get it done.
I always say that we did not invent the rules. We just are the ones that are telling you what the rules are, and we don't let you break the rules. If we know all of the situation, if
Yep.
you keep some of the situation away from us, we can't really guide you from that.
That's
All
kind of
right.
like when
So
my daughter says she has homework, but she doesn't really have homework, but I don't really know. Or she
exactly
says,
until you
"Oh,
get
they're
the
going to
grade and
update
it's
the
enough,
grades." Yeah,
then
exactly,
you figure out that she
exactly.
did have homework. All right. So, how can people get a hold of you? How can they get a hold of your team? Start a Bitcoin IRA account from our Horizon Trust, from my Horizon Trust clients, and then I will have Alicia put in the link. If you don't have a Horizon Trust account at all, you want to talk to one of our IRA specialists, get the IRA
Hmm.
set up first, and then we'll go ahead and get you over to Bitcoin IRA. But for our clients that already have a Horizon Trust account, how do they get a hold of your team?
I think the fastest way, especially since it's it's Wednesday. Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? I
Today's
can
Tuesday,
Tuesday. It's the end of the month, right? It's the 30th. Next month, tomorrow is a new month on
the
Wednesday. That's right.
beginning of the quarter
Yeah,
next
beginning of
month.
the quarter. We're closing out
Yeah.
October. This will be
Yeah.
a big quarter, by the way. The best way is 877-936-7175. Just, and I'll say it again, 877-936-7175. If you call that phone number right now, you're going to get on the phone with one of our experts that's been doing this. Almost all my account executives have been with me for almost a decade. So these guys have been doing this and gals have been doing this for a really long time. Tell them that you're a Horizon client. Start right there. Hey, I'm a Horizon client and I'm thinking about diversifying part of my portfolio into crypto. And they'll take it from there. They'll sit down on a web conference, walk you through everything. They'll give you also, if hey, maybe I understand some people don't like to make phone calls. My daughter, for example, she likes to only text, etc. You can
Yeah.
also go to bitcoinira.com/horizon. And if you already have an account with Horizon, then we'll connect the two. If you don't, we're going to point you to Horizon and get that account set up so that we can get you set up and moving forward.
Absolutely. Okay. Say that number one more time. Alicia is taking notes so that she can put it in the chat for
Okay.
everybody.
877-936-7175.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Of
There we
course.
go. And your website was Bitcoin. We'll have them.
bitcoinira.com/horizon. And
Yeah.
it's important you mention Horizon because we have a special. We had a Summer of Freedom where we were giving up to $1,000 of rewards for opening an account, and we're extending that to the end of the year for Horizon accounts.
That's awesome. I love that term, by the way. Summer of freedom. That's awesome.
I felt pretty free this summer. I don't know about you. Well, I got out of California and
Because you
I
moved to
moved to
Scottsdale. You saved
Scottsdale,
a bunch
so
of
I already
taxes.
feel freer.
I love that. Well, listen, Chris, thank you so much. I always enjoy interviewing you and having you on our webinar because I learned what the next evolution of Bitcoin IRA and what crypto is. So I really appreciate you And for everybody on this webinar, we're going to go ahead and send a webinar recap link for a special webinar that we're having with Braden Shaw, one of our partners at Horizon Trust. He's not a partner of Horizon Trust, but he works with a lot of our clients. And we're going to have a special webinar on Thursday so that everybody can go ahead and join us and learn a lot from Greg and Braden on wealth preservation and how to grow your net worth. So thank you, everybody. Hope this was helpful. And Chris, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Claudia. Thanks to everybody at the Horizon community.
Bye, guys.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. There's lots more great content for you to learn and enjoy and apply to. And so anyways, click on the link below and listen to more videos or set an appointment with us. We look forward to hearing from you and also helping you.